They say evil chooses its vessel, not in fury, but in patience, in silence. And sometimes the vessel smiles back. Locked behind triple-paned glass in a Connecticut museum, a doll sits motionless, but never alone. She wears a faded smile stitched in place, her cotton skin yellowed with age, raggedy, innocent, harmless, or so she was meant to be. But make no mistake, Annabelle is not a toy. She is a warning. Her story isn't about jump scares or flickering lights. It is about what remains after the prayers are said, after the lights go out, and after something ancient has decided to stay. What happens when the invitation is unknowingly given and cannot be taken back? This is not a tale of the doll. This is a tale of what moves through the doll. And tonight, you'll hear it. Welcome to the quiet room, Silence Undone. And once you begin, don't forget to shut the door behind you. It began, as many hauntings do, without ceremony. The year was 1970. 2 nursing students, Donna and Angie, shared a modest apartment in Hartford, Connecticut. Ordinary girls, busy lives, full schedules, the kind of people who didn't invite horror in, but found it seated quietly at their kitchen table one day, waiting. The doll arrived as a gift. Donna's mother had found her in a second-hand shop. An oversized Raggedy Ann doll, arms flopping loosely, red yarn hair tied into pigtails, and a soft smile stitched across her fabric face. She looked harmless, playful even. They named her Annabelle. At first, she was just decor, a nostalgic touch in an otherwise sterile space. The kind of thing people commented on. Oh, how cute. They didn't know. No one ever does. Within days, Donna and her roommate Angie began to notice something strange. The doll wasn't where they had left it. At first it was subtle, an arm slightly repositioned, a tiny shift in its stitched smile. Then its legs crossed differently. Soon it was found in entirely different rooms, not moved but placed, as if by invisible, deliberate hands. They'd wake to the unsettling sight of Annabelle sitting upright on their shared couch, facing their bedroom door, always facing the door, as if slow, waiting. And then the notes began. Tiny scraps of parchment paper appeared around their apartment, scrawled in a faint, childlike hand they didn't recognize. Messages that read, "Help us," or worse, "Help Lou." The ink seemed to bleed on the page, as if written with something other than pen. A chill settled in the air around the doll, a static charge that made the hairs on their arms stand on end. Lou was Donna's boyfriend. He didn't like the doll. From the moment he saw it, he claimed it was evil. He felt it watching him. He described it as those dead button eyes that seemed to follow his every move, even when his back was turned. He wanted it gone. One night, Lou was alone in the apartment when he heard a distinct rustling, a drag of fabric, from Donna's bedroom. He knew the doll was in there. Cautiously, he approached the closed door. The air grew heavy, like pressing against a physical wall. Silence. He pushed the door open, slowly. There, on the floor, Annabelle sat motionless, head tilted just so, facing him. The room was freezing, colder than outside. Lou stepped closer and suddenly felt an intense, burning pain, as if invisible claws, barbed and sharp, had raked deep into his chest. He cried out, stumbling backward. He looked down. Bleeding scratches, deep and raw, as if etched by fingernails, ran across his skin. 3 distinct, parallel lines, still weeping blood. The room plunged into an unnatural silence, the air suddenly suffocating. He backed away, terrified, never taking his eyes off the doll. Annabelle simply sat there, her faded smile seeming to widen just a fraction. There was no one else in the apartment, no one but her, and the lingering chill of something utterly malevolent. Disturbed, terrified, Donna and Angie contacted a medium. In a séance amidst flickering candles and the scent of old dust, the spirit revealed itself. It claimed to be Annabelle Higgins, a young girl who had died tragically on the property. She was lonely. She liked the girls. She wanted to stay. The medium spoke of a sad, lost soul, eager for comfort. Moved by sympathy, by a naive sense of compassion, Donna and Angie agreed to let Annabelle remain in the doll. It was a fatal mistake. The medium was wrong, so tragically, terribly wrong. The name may have been Annabelle, but what lurked inside the doll wasn't a lost child. It was something much older, much darker, a deceiver, a predator, and far more dangerous than any lonely spirit. The medium had offered them closure, a name, a story, and a plea for compassion. They believed it. They let the spirit stay. And for a short while, things grew quiet. Too quiet, as if the apartment itself was holding its breath. But evil doesn't always show its teeth right away. Sometimes it smiles first, then waits until your guard is down. Days passed. The girls stopped sleeping. The apartment felt wrong. Donna refused to be alone in the room with the doll. Angie started leaving all the lights on, but none of it helped. One night, just past 3 a.m., Donna woke to the sound of a child's laughter. Not loud, not playful, just close. She sat up. Annabelle was no longer in the chair by the door. She was now on the floor, beside Donna's bed, staring up at her. Donna screamed, woke Angie, turned on every light in the apartment, but there was no one else there. No signs of a break-in. Nothing. Except the hallway mirror, fogged over, like someone had breathed against it. And on the glass, with a finger dragged through the condensation, just 2 words. Miss me? After that, they called for help, because what they now understood was no little girl would ever write that, and no child would ever come back, laughing. It was no longer a harmless haunting. This was something else. Something that mimicked innocence, only to twist it into dread. Fear now clung to the walls of Donna's apartment like mould in a sealed tomb. That was when help was finally called in. Not a priest, not another medium, but two people who had seen shadows take shape before. Ed and Lorraine Warren. And what they would uncover would turn even hardened skeptics cold. When Lorraine Warren stepped into that apartment, the air thickened. She didn't just feel a presence, she felt an active, predatory hatred, an inhuman entity, a deceiver. The doll glowed with a malevolent energy only she could perceive. This was no child's spirit. The entity inside the doll was demonic, using the innocent form to manipulate and eventually possess one of the residents. It had found its new home, its new victims. The Warrens took the doll with them after a terrifying struggle where Ed had to physically restrain the doll from writhing, from resisting with a strength that defied its stuffed form. They drove it directly to their occult museum in Connecticut, locking it inside a specially consecrated glass case. The glass itself, thick and reinforced, seemed to vibrate with a contained fury. On the case, a sign reads, "Warning, positively do not open." A warning not for the doll's escape, but for what its eyes might do to you if its gaze is allowed to roam free. But even sealed away, the doll never truly slept. Visitors who mocked her, tapping on the glass, laughing, daring her, suffered more than just bad luck. They suffered brutal, swift retribution, car crashes that shredded metal and bone, sudden fatal heart attacks that seized the mocking laughter from their throats. And in one case, a motorcyclist who, after boasting loudly to Annabelle about his defiance, was found mangled on the highway just hours later, his bike wrapped around a tree. His last known words, gasped to paramedics, were about her eyes and the empty road becoming full. Each time, the silence was broken too late. The laughter died, and the doll watched. She remains behind glass now, still watching. They say if you look closely, if you stare into those black button eyes long enough, you'll notice her head shifts ever so slightly. Not by the hour, not by the day, but by the breath of the room. She doesn't move when watched, but she knows who stares. She knows when she has you. And if you listen long enough, some say you'll hear scratching. Not on the wood of her case, but inside your own walls. A persistent, methodical scrape, 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 like something trying to claw its way out or in. They say it's a warning, a prelude, because Annabelle doesn't just haunt a museum, she echoes and she finds new places to wait. She doesn't want freedom. No, that's too simple. She wants a door to open, and she wants you to be the one to open it. Not every silence protects us. Some trap us in their stillness, so we don't notice the thing creeping closer, so we don't notice the eyes on us. This was The Quiet Room. The Doll That Waits, Part 2, Annabelle. Shut the door, kill the light, and remember some silences are never meant to be broken, because once you break them, they hear you. You've listened, you've dared to peer into the eyes of Robert, and sat quietly while Annabelle smiled from behind her glass prison. But the thing about haunted objects is they don't like being talked about. They notice, they remember. So tonight, when you turn off the lights, when your room sinks into silence, If you feel a chill where there shouldn't be one, if something tugs at the edge of your sheets, or if you dream of button eyes watching from the dark corner of your room, don't panic. Just remember, you chose to listen. And now, they know your name.